we ready to get started? It is 6:30. Welcome to this Meet the School Board Candidates event. The idea for this event came from a parent in the community who asked if there could be a way to gather information about the qualifications of all of the candidates on the ballot for the school board. My name is Julie Meredith. I'm the director of the Clarkston Independence District Library, and I will be your facilitator this evening. Why have I been asked to do this? A library is an organization of lifelong learning, and librarians gather and disseminate information. While I am not a professional facilitator, a few years ago the library received a grant to have staff trained by the Harwood Institute to conduct community conversations, techniques that help communities talk and listen to each other. Tonight I'm here to use that training to help you gather information about the candidates for the school board. I was born and raised in Clarkston. I graduated from Clarkston Community Schools and have been the library director here for 16 years. I care very deeply for this community, but I do not live in the community currently. Assisting me tonight is Bill Bowman. He's the library's IT manager and has been for nearly 15 years. He cares about this community, but also does not live in the community. Jared McPherson is the IT assistant. He also lives outside the Clarkston community. We will not be voting in this race and offer our services to assist you in gathering objective information about the qualifications of the candidates running for your school board. This is not a debate. The candidates will not interact with each other. This is not a town hall. The audience will not interact with the candidates. This is not a rally. Campaign materials are not in the room. This is a job interview. And tonight, it is my role to be your neutral, objective HR director, asking interview-style questions that will allow you to get to know the skills, experiences, and qualifications of the candidates running for this office. You are the selection committee. Please listen to the candidates carefully and perhaps take notes. You should respond to what you hear tonight with your ballot. The audience should refrain from applause or verbal response. Please treat all of the candidates as you would expect to be treated if this was your job interview. Being a school board member is a very important job. It is a nonpartisan position with a 6-year term of office. The Board of Education has the following responsibilities. Policy. Board of Education members help develop policies and revise policies for the district. Budget. The Board of Education is responsible for overseeing the district's budget. Personnel recommendations. The Board of Education is responsible for hiring the superintendent and for approval of all personnel recommendations. Candidates were provided with a list of 15 possible questions and a 60 or 90-second time limit for each, depending on the complexity of the question. They were instructed to only use I statements. References to other candidates, either positive or negative, will not be permitted. Each candidate drew a number to determine where they would be seated on the stage. All candidates will be asked the same questions. We will randomly rotate the order the candidates answer each question. Bill and Jared will be our timekeepers and will signal each candidate when they have 30 seconds remaining and when their time is up. The candidates are, from left to right, Amanda Love, Christy Giampatroni, Greg Need, and Cheryl McGinnis. Candidates, are you ready to begin?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
Timekeepers, are you ready to begin? Yes. Okay, let's get started. So the way I'm going to do this is I'll let you know the length of time for them to respond to the question. I will read the question. I will let you know the order in which the candidates will answer, and then I will talk to the first candidate who will be answering and have them answer the question, and our timekeepers will do that. And then we'll go candidate by candidate. So all 4 candidates will answer the first question, and then we will go on to the next question, and all 4 candidates will answer the next question. Any questions about how we're going to do this tonight? Any questions from the candidates?
Nope.
Okay, very good. Okay. The first question is a 60-second question. What interests you about obtaining this position? The order will be Greg, Amanda, Cheryl, and Christy. Greg, are you ready?
I'm ready.
What interests you about obtaining this position?
I believe in the mission of our district. We strive to create a learning environment where our students, our teachers, our families are challenged, healthy, engaged, and secure. I believe in the vision of our district, that all of our students will be well prepared for a future that excites them and where they can achieve their dreams. I want to continue the momentum that Clarkston has enjoyed. 2 years ago, we implemented a new program we called our multi-tiered systems of support, where we take every student in the district, figure out where they are in their learning, and then get them whatever the resources they need to improve. And it's worked. District-wide, in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades, our children have shown an increase in math proficiency and language arts from 2021 to 2022. Our scores went up while county and state scores went down, and our scores are well above the state average. We need to do better, and we will do better, but this program works, and we should continue.
Thank you. Amanda, you're next. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
What
So-
interests you about obtaining this position?
Well, as a mother of 5 children in the community, I have a very vested interest in the success of our school district. I started getting more involved during the school shutdowns, and during that period, we really saw, how important the school board position really is. I think it was neglected before that. So that's what got me interested in it. I think that we need a strong voice for parents in the community, and I think that I can be that voice. Clarkston Schools is an amazing community. Part of the reason that our schools are so successful is because we have great parents who are involved in their parents' education. So I believe that we really need to have a board that represents the parents, and I want to keep our schools open. That's my #1 priority. The reason I got involved, we've seen the devastation that can occur from closing down our schools, and that's it.
Thank you. Cheryl, you're next. Are you ready?
Thank you, yes.
What interests you about obtaining this position?
As a parent, what interests me about this position is the role that is true to who I believe I am. I'm a lifelong advocate and a lifelong learner, and I enjoy engaging people in our community's democracy. As a school board member, I've had an opportunity to make a difference in my community that I live in, that my family lives in. My family and my community are very important to me. This is the community that I raised my children in for over 38 years. I'm happy to see another generation of my family go through our schools, and I cherish the days where I can participate in my granddaughter Isla's classes just as I did my own. I'm proud of the accomplishments that we have made, and I want to continue to be part of this role in my community, and I value public education.
Thank you. Christy, are you ready? What interests you about obtaining this position?
I love Clarkston. Our mission statement, our belief system, the heart and the direction of our school, the equity strategic plan is a concern to me, and I know hundreds of parents and more feel the same. I desire academic excellence, and equality is accessible to every child. But there was a major shift of direction from equality to equity, and these things were not discussed with the public. It was told to us, it was presented to us, and then voted on unanimously by the board. I would say about 90% of the votes brought before the board is unanimous. So my question is where are the differences? The diversity in discussions. I believe that I can bring diversity and discussion with balance to the board.
Thank you. The next question is a 60-second question. The question is, what skills and experiences do you have that qualify you for this position? The order will be Christy, Amanda, Cheryl, and Greg. Christy, are you ready?
Mhm.
What skills and experiences do you have that qualify you for this position?
I believe my hardworking and caring resident of Clarkston, anyone in Clarkston really who's hardworking and caring qualifies for this position. I feel like I'm devoted. I love Clarkston. I've lived here with my husband for 20 years. I'm hardworking. I'm a full-time mom. I've enjoyed raising 3 kids. I have 2 kids now who are currently in the school. 2 part-time jobs, also a volunteer at my church for 30 years. I'm compassionate with personal experience helping special needs. I am currently a caregiver for my brother who has a special need. I'm a team player. I know how to coordinate and plan. I work at Fifth Tavern Restaurant as a banquet coordinator, planning successful events for customers, manager, kitchen staff, and servers. I also have my college degree in psychology with a minor in sociology and years of counseling. I know how to work with the community and families. I've been a family program director at the YMCA. I have also taken 2 school candidate trainings.
Thank you.
Yes, well, first and foremost, I'm a parent, both of children with special needs and who are minorities. I also have been a substitute teacher and para-pro in Clarkston and several of the neighboring districts, so I do kind of have not as much as a full-time teacher, but I do have an insight into the district that way. I also have years of policy experience working on education legislation on the statewide level in Lansing. So I think that these 3 qualifications make me a good fit. I also am a quick study, and I'm a fighter. I'm a fighter for our kids and what I believe is best for our kids. So I think that is why I'm qualified.
Cheryl's next. Cheryl, are you ready?
Yes. After 15 years and hundreds of hours in training from the Michigan Association of School Board, I feel that my qualifications speak for themselves. These classes are intended to develop and enhance members' knowledge in the areas of education, law, labor relations, conflict of interest, school finance, and board governance, and many more areas of school board process. Additionally, I've been recently awarded the President's Award. I am currently only one of 120 school board members throughout the state, 539 districts that have earned this award. I am a parent, I'm a grandparent. I have also served at the county board for the school board for over 13 years, 6 years of which I've been president. I also have a 20-year experience of accounting and project management, which have translated well into the role of the programs and development of implementations here in the school district. I also work very closely with advocacy and our legislators. Thank you very much.
Greg, what skills and experiences do you have that qualify you for this position?
Well, most importantly, I had the experience of my wife and I having raised 2 kids that have gone through Clarkston schools. One recently graduated. I've served on the board for 7 years, the last 3 as vice president. I chaired the board policy committee for 3 years and served on it for 4. We're part of the board leadership team, where the board president and I meet with our superintendent and his deputies on a regular basis to review the issues that are being presented to our district, particularly in the areas of student growth and achievement. I've got over 300 hours of training through the Michigan Association of School Board and others, including topics like curriculum, budgeting, policy, best teaching practices, collective bargaining. I'm also an attorney who represents some local government, and I have a wide amount of experience with the Open Meetings Act, Freedom of Information Act, collective bargaining, and a lot of issues that are also affect Clarkston schools.
Thank you. The next question is a 60-second question. The question is, how can the school board best support our academically diverse student population through the educational program? The order will be Amanda, Greg, Christy, and Cheryl. Ready, Amanda?
1 second here.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Amanda, how can the school board best support our academically diverse student population through the educational program?
I think first and foremost, we need to provide interventionists, tutoring services, and English second language programs, things like those types of programs, to the students who need it. But at the same time, we need to provide more access to advanced placement courses, and we need to let our gifted students, whether they're in high school or elementary school, if they're in 3rd grade but at a 6th grade math level, we need to make sure that we're letting them go into the proper level for what's going to challenge them. I think this will help kids on the diverse spectrum, because kids sometimes that have behavioral issues do it because they're not being challenged. So I think that's very important. Also, we need to fully support our construction tech program. That has been an amazing program in the district, and we should look at other skilled trade courses like
Amanda.
bringing, oh, sorry, automotive. Okay, thanks. Sorry, I didn't see it.
Greg, how can the school board best support our academically diverse student population through the educational program?
I think we have to start with the understanding that every kid is different. And we have an obligation as a school district to make sure that every kid at every range of learning achieves at least a year or more of learning growth every year. And that goes from the most gifted students down to the ones that are struggling. In terms of our assisting our struggling students, one example is our elementary literacy program. We start with the individual data for each and every student showing that kid's reading level. Every student struggles with different words. Some may have issues with fluency. We get them the books and the cards that they need to develop their skills. If they need additional support, mental health supports, we have social workers, we have literacy and math coaches, we have behavioral interventionists that we can use. But the idea is to take each kid from where they are at all levels and make sure they improve.
Thank you. Christy, how can the school board best support our academically diverse student population through the educational program?
I believe that we need to support every child's academic need and provide the resources to back it. I understand the need to give resources to kids with academic challenges. I grew up with a brother with special needs, and we had a great childhood. We lived in Detroit, and resources were limited. I compassionately understood that much of our resources needed to go to help my brother. Special needs or special education is expensive, and I praise my parents who worked hard to give them the best. But I also know what it's like to be the child of a special needs sibling. I was a high achiever, excelling in school and sports, and I loved school. But I also wondered how much higher I could have gone if I also had resources. My parents instilled in us values of overcoming, excelling, leading, and the idea of equity, learnable equity, trying to achieve equal outcomes for everyone is unrealistic.
Cheryl.
I believe we can best support our academically diverse population by 1, meeting them where they're at. 2, providing them with a tiered system of support that encompasses the whole child. And 3, support their social and emotional needs. And 4, set rigor in their academics and support them along the way. I understand that each child brings their own unique experiences, strengths, and ideas to the classroom. I believe diversity builds critical thinkers. When we engage with someone who thinks differently than we do, we think harder on the issue. An example is I have attended a PAC meeting with a previous superintendent who gave us all a test. I wondered why. We all did very poorly on that test. When he asked us to redo the test, he did it by putting us in groups. We all excelled at doing that test working as groups because we worked through the diverse perspectives each of us brought to the table. I believe when we challenge students to consider different perspectives, we also teach them how to interact with peers.
Thank you. Okay, next question, 60 seconds. Knowing there are finite resources, what are your financial priorities for the school district in the next budget development process? The order will be Christy, Greg, Cheryl, and Amanda. Are you ready? Christy.
Yes.
Knowing there are finite resources, what are your financial priorities for the school district in the next budget development process? 60 seconds.
I think the number one goal, financial priority, is to fix the learning loss. Increasing the focus on academics, especially the reading, writing, and math, keeping the AP classes and the advanced classes, growing the trades program, providing teachers and tutors to students who are in need, but most importantly, too, also cutting back on the extra governmental loads that are placed upon the teachers. I don't think that it's fair to expect teachers to not just teach, but to be social workers, counselors, parents. So the number one goal for me would be to fix that learning loss.
Greg, knowing there are finite resources, what are your financial priorities for the school district in the next budget development process?
Our focus needs to be 100% on teaching and learning, and to me, that means continuing our investment in that multi-tiered systems of support I mentioned a little while ago. We need to spend our dollars in figuring out where each kid is in their learning and then get them whatever they need. At the elementary level, we have math coaches, literacy coaches, behavior interventionists, technology experts, and if there are mental health issues or mental health needs for a kid, psychologists and social workers. That is how we make sure that every kid gets exactly what they need when they need it. We've added these resources in every elementary school, every one of them, our high achieving and the lower achieving. We need to expand our systems of success programs to our secondary schools, and we are on our way to do so. And that's where I believe that our financial priorities need to be.
Thank you. Cheryl, knowing there are finite resources, what are your financial priorities for the school district in the next budget development process?
My number one focus is on teaching and learning. We are not finding new curriculum ideas out on social media. We hire educational professionals and we use data to make decisions. We don't reinvent the wheel when we find somebody who's doing something well. We copy it or we make it our own. We innovate by making senior teachers coaches. I want to focus our resources on processes that provide results. An example from my perspective is that we now have teachers trained in Orton-Gillingham. As a parent, I'm well informed about IEPs. I found this resource to be a tremendous aid to my son who had difficulty encoding and decoding words. He went from E's to A's with the support of this process. I believe this program has the ability to reduce the number of students with IEPs, boosting their sense of self while supporting their ability to have greater accomplishments in their academics. Making a difference for these students is personal to me, and I'm glad to be part of the difference.
Amanda, knowing there are finite resources, what are your financial priorities for the school district in the next budget development process?
Okay, yeah, I first want to acknowledge that while resources are always finite, we did receive $12.6 million or $1,700 per pupil in COVID-19 funds over the past couple of years. The legislature actually recently just passed a new funding package with increases per pupil funding, increases in special education programs, the Great Start Readiness Program, and additional funding for school safety and student mental health. That being said, safety has to be our number one priority. Above all else, our kids have to feel safe at school, and we have to feel safe sending them to school. Second, learning loss recruitment. We have to fund our teachers and our support staff to attract and retain talent. To help our children recover from the learning losses from not seeing their teachers over the past couple of years consistently, we have to attract and retain their talent, and we need to fund them. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is a 90-second question. As a board member, how would you help to support current faculty and staff and ensure our district employs quality talent? The order will be Christy, Amanda, Craig, and Cheryl. Christy, are you ready? Okay, Christy, as a board member, how would you help to support current faculty and staff and ensure our district employs quality talent?
I would like to help to support the faculty and staff. To me, that's being open and being accessible, listening and attending meetings, committees, teacher days, having discussions. I enjoy helping people. I'm a really open person. I'm easy to get along with. The last few months, though, more and more teachers have been telling me that they are burdened by the requirements that are placed upon them. And they've been saying that they are governmental burdens and expectations. I would like to help lift that burden to the best of my ability, helping teachers get back to the subjects that they love and relieving teachers of having to fill those roles that they feel are more than their teaching role. I have also seen, and we've seen, more teachers leaving the school field. And I think we need to ask ourselves that question of why. I think it's an important question. So I'd like to provide that support for the staff.
Thank you. Amanda, as a board member, how would you help to support current faculty and staff and ensure our district employs quality talent?
Yes. Well, the teacher shortage right now is a very real thing. and quality staff is getting picked off from other districts constantly. My husband is a high school social worker, so I definitely know the struggles. Fortunately, Clarkston hasn't had as much of an issue as other neighboring districts as far as staff retention. However, we need to still take care of our teachers. We need to give them adequate pay, adequate health benefits, and we need to provide them with resources and supplies to make their teaching the most effective. We can't expect them to provide everything on day one themselves. We need to provide our teachers and thus our students with the highest possible accessibility to supplies and things that would help in their learning. We should provide incentives to, again, attract and retain the talent that we have. We need to take the burden off of our principals. They often are stressed with needing to staff our buildings every day, and they can't actually focus on things that they need to be focused on. As a former substitute teacher, I do want to look into the EduStaff service that we're using for our substitute teachers and parapros. I think that we need to also have the best substitutes and support staff coming into our buildings because, again, with this learning loss, we need to have the highest quality teachers, substitute teachers, everything.
Thank you. Greg, as a board member, how would you help to support current faculty and staff and ensure our district employs quality talent?
Well, it's not how I would do this. I've done this. We've done this. I think the most important thing we've done here in Clarkston as a board for years is the culture we've created. We have an extremely collaborative relationship with our teachers, our support staff, our custodians, our bus drivers, and our other supports. We treat people the right way. We've created a culture of appreciation and innovation. We've raised our pay scale to be competitive with our neighbors. All of this is working. We started this year fully staffed. Our neighboring districts are paying signing bonuses of $2,500 or more, and they still can't fill all their positions. I'm proud, we're proud of the fact that over 100 Clarkston graduates have come back to work for us. When we get great people, we want to hang on to them, and we have. And that is so critical because nothing is as important to student growth and achievement than having high-quality teachers, a high-quality support staff, high-quality administrators. We have those here in Clarkston because of the culture that we've created.
Thank you. Cheryl, as a board member, how would you help to support current faculty and staff and ensure our district employs quality talent?
Keeping valuable support staff, administrators, and teachers is a very difficult thing in these times when education is being attacked on a daily basis. I believe it is important to develop a culture where staff knows they are appreciated not only in words, but in our actions. While wages and benefits comprise the largest portion of our budget, approximately 82%, we must continue to keep steps, wages, and benefits attractive in order to keep them. We must continue to invest in our culture so that we retain the desired school district status we have come to enjoy. We hire teachers at a competitive wage. Gone are the days when an experienced tenured teacher has to move to another district and starts back at step 1 and 2. This happens in no other profession than in teaching. This year, we are fully staffed. We started the year with every teaching position filled, with every administrator position filled, with every bus driver, cafeteria, custodian, and we are proud to say that our staff is our most valuable asset in this district because they are those who make that, the learning with our students special for every single one of them.
Thank you. The next question is a 90-second question. What is the role of a school board member? How does that differ from the role of the superintendent or administration? This is a 90-second question. The order will be Christy, Amanda, Greg, and Cheryl. Are we ready? Christy, what is the role of a school board member? How does that differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
The most important task of the school board member is to improve student achievement. They establish the policy, recruit and hire and evaluate the superintendent. They renew the budget that is submitted by the superintendent. The school board also approves the curriculum and the textbooks. They review the staffing and adapt the policies for those salaries. They also determine if the school facilities need any improvement. Also, the superintendent, he oversees the everyday affairs of the management of the schools, overseeing the facilities, submits the budget, implements the strategic plan and the mission. And also, there is the assistant superintendent who oversees the curriculum, and I know there's the HR director who oversees the administration, staff, and training, et cetera.
Amanda, what is the role of a school board member? How does that differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
Okay. Well, as already been said, you establish policy, review staffing and salaries, determine if improvements are needed in school facilities, hire and review the superintendent, vote on expulsions, and a list of many other things. I think the most obvious to me difference, other than the obvious, is that school board position is an elected position. So while the superintendent and the administration are hired by the school district, we're elected by the people. So although your goal is to make sure that the schools are running correctly and that the faculty, the state, and the students are all taken care of, you ultimately answer to the people. And that's what I want to be. I want to be a voice for the parents. I want to be a voice for the taxpayers. And I want to answer to them in regards to concerns about their students and concerns about fiscal responsibility in the district. Thank you.
Greg, what is the role of a school board member? How does that differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
Well, we probably all have the same answer on this, but yes, the school board is responsible for adopting policy, hiring and evaluating, and if necessary, terminating the superintendent. We then approve the budget, and then we adopt policies and turn that over to the superintendent to implement through his administration. We create the framework by which the superintendent operates the district. We approve the budget and make sure that the priorities that the board has established are well funded. We also engage with all of our stakeholders, and there are many of them. We have our parents, we have our community members, we have obviously many taxpayers that don't have kids in the school district, so we have to represent them as well. We seek out parental involvement and engagement. We have parent involvement on our Teaching and Learning Council, which is the administrative body within the district that reviews and make recommendations on our curriculum. We encourage parents to advocate for their children. We did that when my kids were going through the district before I joined the board. But we also have to be mindful of the fact that we don't represent any small core of people. We represent 5,500 families in Clarkston and 30,000 community members as well. And we make our decisions as a school board member, we need to take that into account.
Thank you. Cheryl, what is the role of a school board member and how does it differ from the role of the superintendent or administration?
Technically speaking, our number one role of school board members is to hire and evaluate the superintendent, establish parameters and set a yearly budget by June 30th, whether there's a state budget or not. So often we are guessing. Set policies to create a framework by which the superintendent operates the district and establishes the structure of the district's mission and vision by creating long and short-term goals. But in everyday sense, our role is to push for student academic growth and achievement. Sure, there are some other things in there like approved textbooks and assess and maintain our physical facilities, but nothing is more important than student achievement. It can't be underestimated how involved and time-consuming this role is. Part of governance is to have thoughtful conversations that give input to parents' concerns and positions. The board member's role is not to get into the weeds of the day-to-day operations of the district. That role is for their only employee, the superintendent. Dr. Ryan does a great job of keeping board members informed of day-to-day operations and their impact on the whole district. As a parent, I was extremely engaged, PTA, PTO, all building facilities, volunteers, but I also sat on the school improvement committees, both in a building level and at the district level. And I also sat on the parent advisory committee.
Thank you. The next question is a 90-second question. This leadership position requires you to balance the needs of the state of Michigan, the community, faculty, and students. Give an example of a time when you had to work with different stakeholders to move a project forward. The order will be Cheryl, Amanda, Greg, and Christy. Cheryl, are you ready?
Yes. As board members, we do this every day in the capacity of being a trustee. We establish a budget to support our mission and vision, again with long and short-term goals. We evaluate our building physical needs through the review of our facilities master plan. We survey parents, staff, and community in this process. We work to balance the per-pupil funding received by the state against our needs and work to evaluate all funding streams to balance the needs in the classroom and of the teachers. As a base funded district since 1994, that means a lowest funded district across the state. We have less money than the majority of districts across the state, and we must find economical ways to maintain our facilities without it directly impacting the students and our curriculum. Through our policies, we meet with parents to review specific curriculums as required by law. For example, our sex education program. We balance these needs in the development of a bond proposal, seeking input from our community, submitting these documents to the state treasury for approval, and presenting the bond recommendation to our community.
Thank you. Amanda, this leadership position requires you to balance the needs of the state of Michigan, the community, faculty, and students. Give an example of a time when you had to work with different stakeholders to move a project forward.
Sure. So of course, I'm not going to have the direct experience of being on a school board, but I have had a lot of leadership positions throughout my life. When I first read this question, the specific example that came to my mind was when I was president of the Western Student Association. That's the student body president, essentially, for the university. We lost our university president, so being a voice for the students, I fortunately had a seat at the table during this process. I had to represent the students, first and foremost, and they were very angry. They did not like the past president, so I had to field their concerns. I also had to look at the overall picture for the community. I also had to interview all the candidates, and I went above and beyond and actually met with all of the department heads and found out what their needs are, and we were able to all come together on a selection for the president that moved our university forward in a very positive direction. So I think that I have the talents and the skills to do that while on the school board, and I think I'll be a strong voice for the students in our community, and, okay.
Greg, this leadership position requires you to balance the needs of the state of Michigan, the community, faculty, and students. Give an example of a time when you had to work with different stakeholders to move a project forward.
These issues come up all the time when, in my tenure on the school board. One example is the start date for school. There's a state law passed that about 15 years ago, encouraged by the tourism industry, that establishing a day after Labor Day for the start of school and provided a process to get a waiver. In making the decision of what that date would be, we had to balance the needs and desires of our parents, many of whom had vacation plans or similar kinds of activities, the goals of our administration, the desires of our teaching staff, the need to have enough professional development built into our calendar, and get community input as well. Once we got all that information and input, we made the decision we could either stick with the state mandated date or, as we've done recently, applied for the waiver. Curriculum is another example, and I talked a few minutes ago about our Teaching and Learning Council. Much of our curriculum is mandated by the state of Michigan, but taking that starting point, the TLC has representatives from the community, it has parents, it has students, school board members, I was on it for a couple of years, administrators, and teachers, and subject area coordinators. A proposal is brought to the committee with an enormous amount of data and support and justification, and we review it and then make a recommendation to the full board. That, again, is balancing all those stakeholder groups, all of whom has a seat at the table.
Christy, this leadership position requires you to balance the needs of the state of Michigan, the community, faculty, and students. Give an example of a time when you had to work with different stakeholders to move a project forward.
I enjoyed being a case manager for On My Own of Michigan. It is an agency, nonprofit, independent living program for adults with developmental disabilities. And there I provided state services by working with the Department of Human Services. I helped my clients to obtain Medicare, Medicaid, and food assistance. I also helped manage those for them. I also worked with local communities, MORC, ARC, and other nonprofit organizations to provide supports for job placement, job coaches, and advocacy programs. I also know how to work with staff. The staff members, we created and worked together to provide classes for our adults. We planned events, and we also coached Special Olympic softball teams. I communicated daily with families and their parents or their guardian to ensure that their goals and their needs and concerns were met for their adult child. And I also assisted with my clients and helped them to create their own personal goals and plans to help them create the steps and to improve and obtain their independent living skills. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is a 60-second question. As an elected official, how would you be open to the input and concerns of residents and remain focused on students and the overall good of the district? The order will be Christy, Greg, Amanda, and Cheryl. Are you ready, Christy?
Mm-hmm.
Christy, as an elected official, how would you be open to the input and concerns of residents and remain focused on students and the overall good of the district?
I would be open to take into consideration all the concerns of the residents and the students. It's important to me to have discussion and to bring important issues to the table and to be aware of the overall good of the district. And to accomplish that, I believe that we need to stay true to our principles, our moral compass, our good character and transparency. I think even, a town hall meeting where you have that two-way communication would be a great idea. As a mom with 2 kids currently in Clarkston schools, I see the day-to-day activities, the curriculum, and their concerns. I know I'm a good listener. I'm also a peacemaker. I'm very effective in conflict and stressful and confrontational situations. I'm calm, I'm fair, I'm sensible, and I'm level-headed. And I feel that my diverse background naturally causes me to be open to different points of view. And this would be beneficial to the overall good.
Thank you. Greg, as an elected official, how would you be open to the input and concerns of residents and remain focused on students and the overall good of the district?
Well, student growth and achievement has to be uppermost in all of our minds as board members. What I do, my contact information is published on the district website. I'm visible at community and school district events. We have parental and community representation on our Teaching and Learning Council, as I mentioned. And I take very seriously the public input, whether it's positive or negative. And, obviously the last couple of years, there's been a lot of the latter. But we get that input from parents, other community members, in emails, telephone calls, comments made at board meetings, or surveys that we've conducted. And we take all that seriously. Dr. Ryan receives far more public input than we do, and he always reports to us about significant issues, that these are issues that our parents are concerned about. But we have to go beyond that. We obviously have to address parental concerns, but again, we've got 5,500 families and 30,000 people in the Clarkston community, and we have to address those as well.
Amanda.
Okay.
As an elected official, how would you be open to the input and concerns of residents and remain focused on students and the overall good of the district?
Residents need to feel heard, especially parents. Allowing 2 minutes at the end of a board meeting and not being able to address anybody specifically or for the board to respond directly is not an adequate way for people to be heard. I would like to propose an interactive way where concerned parents can come and actually have a conversation with the board. If the other board members don't want to, I'll do it myself. Whether it's coffee hours or what have you, I think that a lot of times parents just need to be acknowledged and they need to be heard. Once that happens, a lot of the disdain and the anger goes away. Blatantly denying things are happening that parents believe are happening and are happening is not a good way to address these concerns. Parents want change. I'm the change. Thank you.
Cheryl, as an elected official, how would you be open to the input and concerns of residents and remain focused on students and the overall good of the district?
As an elected official, the role of a school board member is not like that of a congresswoman or man representative or a senator. My role is an individual member of a board of 7 that speaks with one voice as the Board of Education. I believe strongly it is not only a parental's right to advocate for their child, but their responsibility. And it is the responsibility of the administration and the board to listen. Under the Open Meetings Act, we have to conform to not have any more than 3 board members in a meeting at a time, or we must post it as an open meeting for the public. I believe strongly that the administration listens to the parents. Just because we don't act on what a parent says in a board meeting and the public comments does not mean we're not listening. I have once been a thorn in the side of the district when I did not feel that my son was getting the services he deserved for his needs.
Stop.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is a 90-second question. What issues do you believe the district needs to address in its academic programming and offerings in order to best support our students? What changes would you recommend? The order will be Christy, Amanda, Greg, and Cheryl. Are you ready, Christy?
Can you repeat that again, please?
What issues do you believe the district needs to address in its academic programming and offerings in order to best support our students? What changes would you recommend?
Academic excellence is the first need. We need to improve our reading, writing, and math. The 52% math proficiency is unsatisfactory. Yesterday, the National Assessment of Educational Progress announced that nationally, public schools are down in our achievement scores, and we need to look at the measurement system that we are using. Right now, we need to focus more on our academic measurements and less on the social measurements. We also need to address the mediocrity that's in the school through the equity plan. Each child has an academic need. So yes, let's provide special need programs for those, but also provide advanced classes for those high achievers. We also need to address the transparency process. The Teaching and Learning Council needs to allow parents who have different views to be allowed in that council. Also, I believe that we can encourage growth through the Trade in Schools program. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda, what issues do you believe the district needs to address in its academic programming and offerings in order to best support our students? What changes would you recommend?
Okay, I think the whole philosophy needs to change because we need to raise the bar. Right now, we're being celebrated for improving our test scores, and I'm so glad that the bleeding has stopped from the forced school closures. However, I'm not celebrating a 39.1 proficiency rate for my son's grade, 5th grade in math. We have to do better. I understand that we're doing better than the rest of the state, so we need to raise the bar. Specifics, expand advanced placement courses at CCS, like I've said. We need to possibly explore bringing back some other skilled trade classes other than construction tech, like automotive, electrical, things like that, because we need to accommodate the students who don't want to go to college. And also, we need to educate students in the personal finance skills and practical life skill courses. Thank you.
Greg, what issues do you believe the district needs to address in its academic programming and offerings in order to best support our students? What changes would you recommend?
Well, again, our systems of support are designed to figure out where a kid is and give him what he or she needs to be successful. We've invested in additional literacy coaches, math coaches, teaching aides to get to that goal. Every kid is not equal, and Clarkston School's plan does not presume that every kid is equal. It does presume that every kid is different with different needs. Our test scores have been improving, and that is proof that our program is working. Is it where we need to be? Absolutely not. But it's far better than much of the state, and it's going up while the state and county are going down. We're doing something good. We just need to do more of it, and we will by expanding that program into our secondary schools. We also need to not neglect the social components of our kids. We believe in the whole child program in Clarkston, and that means if a kid has some social needs, if he or she is hungry, if they feel threatened, if they feel like they're bullied, we need to address that. Social needs are important, because without addressing those, they're not going to learn. And that is an unacceptable situation for me.
Thank you. Cheryl, what issues do you believe the district needs to address in its academic programming and offerings in order to best support our students? What changes would you recommend?
I believe inequities are barriers to learning, and that is why I support the multi-tiered system of support. We must remain focused on providing students with the specific tools for their specific needs, like giving each student a specific book for their reading level, supporting their struggle of word recognition with the process that best fits their learning need, such again as Orton Gillingham. As you can tell, I have some personal value in this because it did hit very hard and to my home. I'd like to invest in our multi-tiered system and bring it to our secondary once we've already seen that we are gaining successes. I'd also love the collaboration that currently is being done between business and the district to mentor students into career pathways that may not require a 4-year degree. More jobs are available today that can be obtained with shorter training times, like certificate programs. Our current construction tech skilled trade program that has been expanded recently is a perfect example. This program is already showing great results for our students, many receiving honors and award at state levels and obtaining secure jobs upon graduation. I'd like to continue to support our literacy and continue to address those struggles and provide them those tools so that we can avoid students needing special education services later to remediate.
Thank you. The next question is a 60-second question. Many of the parameters in which the school board operates are determined at the state level. As a board member, what would your role be in terms of advocacy? The order will be Cheryl, Greg, Amanda, and Christy. Cheryl, let me know when you're ready.
The role of advocate is one I have taken naturally from the beginning. I was an advocate in high school for my senior graduating class because I could not vote in that election. I believe this is why I was a good part of the county board, which was such a great fit for me. It gave me the opportunity to advocate for our community members, the professional development we needed regarding issues that lie close to our home, our county. I've been the legislative representative to the board for nearly all of my 15 years. In this role, I keep the board abreast of proposed legislation and work with the board and superintendent to develop a position. I've attended the Advocacy Institute in Washington, D.C. for about 95% of those 15 years. Each year while in Washington, D.C., I meet with select members of influential committees and our congressmen, women, and senators to discuss issues that resonate in our local district, I don't see how I can advocate for our students or district changing in the future.
Thank you. Greg, many of the parameters in which the school board operates are determined at the state level. As a board member, what would your role be in terms of advocacy?
Well, I've served on a district advocacy committee. I routinely review the legislative reports from our county and state school board associations. Last week, I attended a legislative update from the Michigan Association of School Boards. The state and county organizations engage in goal setting, where their members statewide or countywide are polled to try to determine what our legislative priorities ought to be, recognizing that, again, we have finite resources. I want to make sure that we advocate for flexibility so we can avoid meaningless bureaucracy as much as possible. Too often we have edicts from the state or federal government that don't promote student growth and require our teachers to divert resources away from programs that really do. And I believe advocacy is critical to establish those priorities and push back against that kind of bureaucratic overreach.
Thank you. Amanda, many of the parameters in which the school board operates are determined at the state level. As a board member, what would your role be in terms of advocacy?
I'm so glad you asked this question, because if elected, I feel this would be my strongest asset to the board. Through my years in working in policy and strategy, I have built a strong reputation and strong relationships, both statewide and in Lansing. I've worked in the legislature, I've helped write policy in education. Not only do I have a familiar with the policy and all of that, I know the right avenues to properly advocate for our district. Now, I mean, you can write all the form letters you want, you can try to set up general meetings with the legislators. I have personal relationships with a huge number of them. That's gonna be a huge asset. I'm not going to be wasting time with emails that aren't gonna be responded. I know the right avenues to take, and I know the right people to talk to. Thank you.
Christy, many of the parameters in which the school board operates are determined at the state level. As a board member, what would your role be in terms of advocacy?
I believe that the first statement that the school board parameters are determined at the state level is a problem. One of my platforms is to support local influence. And we need to ask ourselves, who has authority over our kids, my kid? I believe the government is overreaching into areas that should be more of a place for local residents. I am an advocate for taxpayers, for parents, teachers, grandparents, the like. Our district is called Clarkston Community Schools, not Michigan Community Schools. I don't appreciate that the state is implementing the equity plan through Oakland schools and to our school district. I don't agree with the training that is provided to our staff and teachers by Dr. J. Marks. I believe that Clarkston Schools needs to be a reflection of our Clarkston community and its values.
Thank you. The next question is a 60-second question. What skills or traits do you have that would help you to contribute to the effective operations of the board as a whole? 60 seconds. The order will be Greg, Cheryl, Christy, and Amanda.
I'm ready, thank you.
What
Sorry.
skills or traits do you have that would help you to contribute to the effective operations of the board as a whole?
A couple of areas. First of all, my legal background, particularly my background as an attorney for townships and cities, allows me to give experienced input on policies and procedures, because many governmental units operate within certain principles that are consistent. In the more direct area, I think I have the ability to demand data and research from our administration in support of their suggested curriculum and teaching practices and their programs to promote student achievement. Then I think I have the ability to evaluate and analyze that data to make sure that we make decisions that are data-driven and research-based. That's always my focus. Our kids are best served when we demand that kind of rigor in the programs that we are presenting. And finally, nothing is perfect, and I realize that if in fact something isn't working, I have the flexibility to ask our administration to go in a different direction and monitor and then implement.
Thank you. Cheryl, what skills or traits do you have that would help you to contribute to the effective operations of the board as a whole?
I believe my training over the 15 years as a board member has prepared me to be a constant advocate for those things in Clarkston we feel are best for our students. I have personal relationships with our state and federal legislature, along with many high-level committee people, especially at the federal level. I can respectfully hold a position that may not be the majority and in the same time disagree with respect. I recognize that not all decisions may be perfect at the time, but I believe I have and will continue to make the best decisions for our district with the information I have. Nothing is set in stone that we don't reevaluate and adjust. I'm always open to more information on a topic. For those who know me, you know at times I'm a thorn in the side of an issue, and I'm not one to let something lie.
Thank you. Christy, what skills or traits do you have that would help you to contribute to the effective operations of the board as a whole?
I believe I have a lot of experience just being a team player, working with nonprofit organizations, YMCA, ARC, MORC, also working with the government, the DHS, and just my experience working in the restaurant field, also as a coach through Special Olympics. I also have counseling skills, volunteering through my church, working with youth, as a case manager, helping families and children with disabilities. I also am a great listener, and my management and planning skills. My 10 years of being a banquet coordinator, also a former floor manager at a restaurant, planning and teaching independent living skills, and being a director at the YMCA. I also have a diverse perspective. Being African American and Caucasian, I believe that I'm able to see perspectives from lots of different positions and different sides. This is something that the board has been asking for. They have been wanting diversity. I'm diversity.
Amanda, what skills or traits do you have that would help you to contribute to the effective operations of the board as a whole?
Passion, energy, and new ideas. People overwhelmingly support term limits because once anybody stays anywhere too long, their ideas get stale and they're not congruent with the current community. I'm not afraid to dissent from the group and challenge why we do things. Just because we have done certain things a way for many years doesn't automatically mean that is the best way. More often than not, it is the best way. So I am able to dissent kindly and respectfully. If elected, I hope to build relationships with the other members of the board and work together for what is best for our kids. I don't intend to get on the board and start throwing bombs. Fresh eyes is a good thing to have. Thank you.
The next question is a 60-second question. Do you support the local CCS bond proposal on the November ballot? Why or why not? The order will be Christy, Amanda, Cheryl, and Greg. Christy, let me know when you're ready. Ready? Do you support the local CCS bond proposal on the November ballot? Why or why not?
The simple answer is yes, but it's not that simple. I've been to quite a few school board meetings to hear information about the bond. I also attended the tour at the Clarkston Junior High School, and I appreciated the invite to the parents and the community to go. I asked many questions, and they gave me some answers, and some good answers. They also assured me that Clarkston Junior High School, which is receiving about 65% of that bond, is not just for a facelift, but they did say it was for the infrastructural fix of the school. Even my kids mentioned they would love to have air conditioning. The biggest concern, of course, for me is the times that we're in, the recession that we're in, inflation is up, our nation and our community, we're experiencing some hardships, and these are concerns I think that need to be weighed. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda, do you support the local CCS bond proposal on the November ballot? Why or why not?
Well, I've read a lot about the bond and all it will do for safety, security, aging systems, and of course the new junior high. I've also knocked hundreds of doors in the district, and I've spoken to the voters. I hear a lot of reluctancies from them. The main one being, didn't we just pass a bond? 6 years is seeming too soon to some of these voters. With skyrocketing interest rates and high inflation, this is one of the worst times to both borrow money and procure labor and materials. However, I do understand that this won't make an immediate impact on our wallets, even if it doesn't pass. So yes, because of the safety concerns, I will support the bond. But if this bond does pass, and to me, it is going to be close, just based on what I'm hearing, moving forward, we need to make sure that we're making fiscally responsible decisions with this bond and make sure that we are not coming back to the voters in another couple of years. Thank you.
Cheryl, do you support the local CCS bond proposal on the November ballot? Why or why not?
Yes. After continuous updates and evaluations of our master plan year after year, I believe the request to build a new junior high school is an economically sound request. At minimum, the size and design of classroom environment has drastically changed over the years. Our students learn in groups and not in rows. If you've been in the building, the back academic hallway ceiling's been lowered so that pipes that have burst in our cement floors are now up in the ceiling. We have some tall kids who have to be very careful as they're coming through those hallways. To maintain Clarkston Junior High School in its current state would cost the district approximately 85 cents on the dollar, and we'd only get another 10 years out of the building at that. That does not seem a very sound economical position to take. I do not see costs associated with the delays being the best return on our dollar. This board, over the many years, has been extremely conservative in our bond request. We have in turn saved our taxpayers $18 million. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg, do you support the local CCS bond proposal on the November ballot? Why or why not?
Well, I was a part of developing it, so yes, I do support the proposal. 7 years ago, we developed our facilities master plan, and we came up with about $500 million worth of needs. We pushed our administration to focus only on what was critical, and that was what was implemented in the 2016 bond. We tackled those critical needs, but we knew that the junior high was a big issue. So all we spent in that building in 2016 were safety upgrades and furnishings that can go on to the new junior high. We've had many discussion at board meetings, we've had public input, we've had the tour of the junior high, so our public could see why this bond proposal is so important. We have additional security, we'll have air conditioning, and this will be a zero tax rate increase. I think that's phenomenal. I think that's what our community wants.
Thank you. The next question is a 60-second question. How can our district best ensure students are prepared for success in school and in life? The order will be Christy, Cheryl, Amanda, and Greg. Christy, let me know when you're ready. How can our district best ensure students are prepared for success in school and life?
I believe that we can ensure that by an attitude and a mission of our belief system that encourages leadership and resilience. I loved the Leader in Me program that my kids participated in at Clarkston Elementary School. The Stephen Covey principles were great. They could apply to all of us in our life. The principles provided some solid foundations that our kids can build on to be successful. And I believe that we need to stay true to those foundational principles and our constitutional principles, that one nation under God. It ensures the safety and the future of our kids' lives. I also like providing more classes on personal financial management. My daughter loved that class. Home economics, expand the trade, continue to support AP classes, help our kids prepare for SAT, ACT, so our kids can compete in the global market.
Cheryl, how can our district best ensure students are prepared for success in school and life?
by meeting each student where they are, providing them the extra help through our support teams of math and literacy coaches, behavior interventionalists, psychologists, and social workers, or enhancing opportunities for those that excel so that they have a solid grasp of our core curriculum. When we focus on our budget priorities on processes that improve student growth, we enable the teacher to focus on doing more for kids in the classroom. Every student benefits. I believe we are doing this every day. We invest in programs that excite our students. I want every student to grasp what excites them, whether it be math, music, robotics, trades, that allow them to become the person in their dream. With our parents as our students' #1 teachers, we together are creating students that are confident in themselves and preparing for their future.
Thank you. Amanda, how can our district best ensure students are prepared for success in school and life?
We absolutely need to give them the best and strongest academic foundation to compete in global markets. We need to improve our standardized test scores. Our college readiness rate for our graduates in 2022 was under 40%. We need to stop pushing our kids along and holding their hands through school. We need to teach our kids resiliency and allow them to fail and how to cope with those disappointments. If children are getting A's on their report card but failing their standardized testing, that's not ultimately going to serve well for them. On a social level, we need to teach our kids how to think, not what to think. We need to teach them that people disagree, and we need to teach them how to do it respectfully. Thank you.
Greg, how can our district best ensure students are prepared for success in school and life?
Well, it starts with the core curriculum, and then we have to be absolutely sure that all of our kids have a solid grasp of that curriculum. Once we go beyond that, though, I want every student to learn what excites them. It may be that they want to go to college, but maybe not. College readiness isn't for everyone. It may be building trades, it may be military service. Within the academic curriculum, they might have a passion for math or biology or the building trades. We need to take each kid where they are, figure out what excites them, and encourage them to pursue that path. We provide a lot of options for our kids. And if they want, we will give them some assistance in selecting a career path that matches their interest, matches their passion, and is consistent with their talents.
Thank you. The next question is a 60-second question. Have any public or private organizations endorsed you or contributed to your campaign? If so, which organizations? The order will be Christy, Amanda, Cheryl, and Greg. Christy, let me know when you're ready. Have any public or private organizations endorsed you or contributed to your campaign? If so, which organizations?
No, I have not received an endorsement from any organization, but yes, I did receive a small grant from the Michigan's 11th Congressional District PAC. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda, have any public or private organizations endorsed you or contributed to your campaign? If so, which organizations?
Yes, I have been endorsed by the Michigan Health Choice Alliance, Get Kids Back to School PAC, and Michigan Save Our Kids. I have gotten some donations from 11th Congressional District and Greater Oakland County Republican Party. I do want to take this time to make sure that everybody knows that all campaign donations for me and everybody else will be well documented and will be available on the Oakland County Elections Department by Friday. There are no secrets. So I'm going to address right now any rumors that you've heard on social media that I'm being funded by out-of-state money or with dark money. I want to be clear that I have not accepted 1 cent of dark money. In fact, it is illegal to do that. So accusing me of this is actually accusing me of a crime. Like I said, my report will be available. I'm proud to announce that I have over 100 individual donors to my campaign, mostly from the community. Thank you.
Cheryl, have any public or private organizations endorsed you or contributed to your campaign? If so, which organizations?
Yes, excuse me. Yes, I am proud to say that I am supported by local citizens and have been endorsed by the Clarkston Education Association. In an effort to show transparency, once financial reportings are posted by the Oakland County Clerk, I will post the link to my reporting on my social media pages. Thank you.
Greg, have any public or private organizations endorsed you or contributed to your campaign? If so, which organizations?
Yes, the Clarkston Education Association, their teacher group met with me, asked me a whole series of questions, and following that, I was very happy to get their endorsement and a campaign contribution. And I also have several individuals who have donated, and as you've heard, those will all be made public by the filing deadline on Friday. Other than that, I am self-funding my own campaign, which consists of a website, buying signs, postcards, etc. I'm spending about $2,000 of my own money because I'm passionate about increasing student growth and achievement. The job pays $360 a year or thereabouts, and that I mostly donate back to Team Rush and Clarkston Lacrosse. All the contributions to my campaign have been direct contributions. I don't have any outside organizations sending mailings, supporting my candidacy, and I'm proud of that.
Thank you. The next question is a 60-second question. If elected, what do you hope would be the key accomplishments of the board during your years of service? The order will be Amanda, Cheryl, Christy, and Greg. Amanda, let me know when you're ready. Let me repeat the question
Key
before you-
accomplishments?
Let me repeat the question before you start.
Yeah, key accomplishments. Is that
Mhm.
okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
If elected, what do you hope would be the key accomplishments of the board during your years of service?
Okay, yep. As I've said many times, we need to recoup our learning losses. We need to keep our schools open. We need to better listen to our parents, and we need to maintain our buildings to make sure our students are safe and secure. We need to continue our partnership with the Oakland County Sheriff's Department. Academic focus and increased college readiness rates have to improve, and we need to raise the bar, as I've said, and demand academic excellence. We certainly have the potential with our staff and our students and our parents. Thank you.
Cheryl, if elected, what do you hope would be the key accomplishments of the board during your years of service?
I hope my key accomplishments would be that every student has the tools to believe they can succeed in whatever they do. Our students are not cookie-cutter students. Each is uniquely different. Each year, a new set of students comes into our doors, some excelling over their peers while others with great need. I personally know a student who had a learning difficulty in an IEP, and she had many dedicated Clarkston teachers to help him down the path to graduation. This same student went on to medical school. The student kept in touch with his teachers to share his or her accomplishments and the appreciation for the support. He claimed, had it not been for the support of his teachers, he didn't think he could have made it through medical school alone. There are students that need support to get them to graduation and to their dream. There are many, many more just like that student, and I want to be part of graduating well-rounded students. Thank you.
Christy, if elected, what do you hope would be the key accomplishments of the board during your years of service?
I like that word, hope. Hope is what we need. Key accomplishments is greatly to increase each grade's academic proficiency, to increase the school's rating, to give parents more of a voice in their kids' education, and to have parents more involved, to make schools more accessible to parents through in-person conferences, open houses, and class participation across all the schools. Better transparency between the schools, public residence, and open discussion. I would also like to promote equality, to stay true to our nation's founding principles and instill a love of God, family, and country. To push back on government overreach, because we are Clarkston schools, and our schools need to reflect Clarkston values.
Greg, If elected, what do you hope would be the key accomplishments of the board during your years of service?
I would hope that we fulfill our district vision, that all of our students will be well prepared for the future, a future that excites them and where they can follow their dreams. I want every student to show at least 1 year or more of growth in every year of instruction. Every year, I am on stage at Pine Knob, and our graduates walk across the stage. I want each and every one of those kids to be excited about what comes next. And I want to make sure they get the tools in Clarkston to do that. My son graduated in 2021. His dream was to play college lacrosse, and he's doing that. Another one of his friends, two of his friends actually, enlisted in the United States Army. Still others are going to traditional four-year colleges. I want to make sure that all of our kids follow their passion. That would excite me, and that's what I would hope would be the key accomplishment for the next 6 years. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes all of our questions for tonight. As we close the evening, I would like to say thank you. Thank you to the candidates and to the audience, to my timekeepers, Bill and Jared, to ITV for recording this evening, and everyone who assisted in the setup, the logistics, the promotion. There were so many people that took care of the details that made this happen tonight. I would like to extend a special thank you to Lisa Bohr, a mom, member of the PTO, and marketing professional who came to me with a spark of an idea for tonight and has worked tirelessly the past several days to make this happen. Thank you and good night.